Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. In this video I'm going to be going over the PyTesting with Selenium. I'm using Node and Express.js for the website, and then I'm using Pytest for unit testing with Selenium. So to get started, what I'm going to do is go to my website, my GitHub page, which I have open in my browser. And the files for this I have put together so we kind of can speed up things along. But if you go to my repositories under Pytest tutorial, it's under here, it's going to be blank, but if you click on this drop down menu where it says main and go to master, in the master folder I have the basic files needed. I have a JS file, that way if you need help with the installation it has all the basic instructions for whatever reason in case you get lost. And then we have the myapp here, which is the project folder. So I'm going to download the project going by clicking on the code download button and then the download zip. I'm going to save the file to my desktop, and then it's downloading. And while that's downloading, we're also going to need a couple other things too. First and foremost, I'm using two editors. One is Visual Studio Code. So to get Visual Studio Code, if you don't have it already, go to code.visualstudio.com and download them for your computer. If it's Mac, Windows, or Linux, just download it. Then I'm using a second one for the PyTesting because you need a virtual environment, and Pycharm I found to be very useful when it comes to virtual environments. You can do it with VS Code, but it just makes it more easier to use, so I'll be using Pycharm too. So if you want to follow along, just download the Pycharm IDE. We're also going to be needing by going to jetbrains.com/Pycharm. Now we're also going to be needing the Chrome WebDriver. For this, you have to go to chromedriver.chromium.com, and for this all you have to do is go to the all versions available in downloads, but you want the latest stable release. So in this case, it's Chrome Driver 88.0.4324.96. But if it's newer, if you're watching this later on in life, then it'll probably be a different version. But it's just this one right here, the latest stable version. And so you have it right here to download. So for me, I'm just going to download the Windows 32. I'm going to save this to my desktop. I already have it replaced because I've downloaded a couple of times now. And so after this, what we are going to need is NodeJS. You can download that by going to nodejs.org, and it's right now it's 14.15.5 or 4, but you can whatever version it is, just download it right here. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to go through the installation process. And then lastly, I need to attribute the website. Because I did not make the website that we're going to be unit testing, I followed this tutorial. So if you go to computerhope.com/issues/ch002076.htm, this is the tutorial which I followed along to create the website for the Selenium web testing. Yeah, and I also have it linked inside my setup commands that it is the website that I'm using. It's attributed to them. So if you want to follow along with this tutorial just like I did to make the website, feel free to do so, but I just want to give credit where credit's due. So now that that's done, and I have everything on my desktop, I'm going to begin by extracting my Pytest file. So I'm going to say right click on the file and extract here. I'll get a folder. Inside this folder I'll have again the myapp and setup commands. And then I have my Chrome driver right here. The Chrome driver is right here. So let me just extract here. And here it is. So let me put this out a little bit more so you guys can see. So it's these two. So this is the Pytest. So I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, I'm going to go to my file, open folder. I'm going to go to my desktop, and then it is called Pytest Tutorial Master. So I'm just double click on this. And you have my app. So I'm going to open this up, and here I have my setup command. So this is basically the element I'm going to follow through and getting things installed. So to begin, I'm just going to go to terminal, new terminal, and then I'm just going to copy this over. Well, this is Node, so if you downloaded Node from the website, then you don't need to do this command, but if you, for a reason, want to, you can. But what I'm going to do is install the Express generator. So I'm going to say npm install express dash generator, and then the -g means it's global, so just go through and install it. I already have this installed, so it may or may not install proper. Then what I have to do is install the node files, so I'm going to go cd and then do myapp. Inside my app folder right here, I'm going to install nodemon, so I'm going to say npm install nodemon --save -dev, because this is the development that we're using. So then once this is done, we have to change the package.json file. So if I go to my myapp folder and go to my package.json, let me keep this open. So in my package.json, I already have this in it for the Windows version, but if you're using Mac and or Linux, instead of having the dev start set debug equals my app here, you need to have it set to this right here. So if you're using Linux, just copy and paste, or Mac, just copy paste this code and replace it with this. But because I'm using Windows, I'm not using that, so I'm keeping it as the same. So once that's done, you have to install SQLite3. For Windows, you have to download it from the web, which I forgot to have, my apologies. So open a new tab in your browser, type in SQLite3 download for Windows, and then it should take you to the SQLite download page. So for this, you have SQLite 32, 64. It really just depends upon what you're using. I'm using 64-bit, so I would be downloading this, but I already have it installed, so I will not download it. But this is the one that you want to download, and I'll put this in the file, so so that it's updated. But that's what we're using. So once you download and install SQLite3, for a Mac or Linux, obviously you don't have to go to the website. You can just do sudo port install SQLite3 for Mac, or brew install if you have brew. And for Linux, it's just sudo apt install SQLite3. So now, once this is done, we have to install the SQLite module. So just do npm install SQLite3, if I can spell install properly. So it's npm install SQLite3 -- save, and this will install the module for SQLite3. And after that's done, I accidentally skipped a step. I apologize, but for step number 3, we have to install the node files. If you notice that we have a package.json here, and we have all these dependencies, because I already have the Express app pre-installed, and that's why it's called myapp, what we have to do is install these dependencies. So to do that, all I do is type in npm install and that installed all the necessary dependencies that we needed. So now that that's done, what we have to do now is initiate the database. If you notice, I already have a folder in here for database. That kind of saves some steps for that. So just want to change directory into the database. I do cd database, and then in here you want to initialize SQLite3. So when you install SQLite3, you're going to type in SQLite3, and then you can do db.SQLite, and then in here you're going to do .read, and then it's going to be init, which is the folder. Inside my init, I have db.SQL here, so I do .read init, and then /db.SQL. So then that initiates a database.SQLite here. And then what we want to do is just update the information. So you're just going to say, you can either copy this code or paste it, which is going to be update items set qty equal 6, where name is equal to, and then open quote eggs, end quote, semicolon. Oh, it's because I put minus. Okay. So now that that's done, what we want to do is insert these items. I'm just going to copy paste this code, It says insert items into items name price values parsley 100, spinach 350. And just press enter, and then I'm just going to do .quit to quit the database. So now, if all is well, I should just be able to do npm run dev start, and it should hopefully run without any errors. So as you can see, it says myapp server listing on port 3000. So if I go to my web browser, open a new tab, and do localhost 3000, I should have a website. And as you can see, this is a website that we will be using in order to do our unit test. It's going to look similar to this one right here, at the very bottom. See, it's the same thing. So, thank you again to Computer Hope for this tutorial. Yeah, so now that we're done with this, what we want to do is keep this web page open, but let me tell you, so by default this is kind of like the client side. In our app, there's also an admin side. If you go to roots, see how it says admin? It gives us kind of the backend sort of deal for editing and changing our website. So if I go to localhost 3000 and then do a /admin, it's going to take me to the backend where I can edit the stuff inside our database, because all this is being pulled from our database by default. So I can click on any of these tabs, and you can see there's an update button, a delete button. So we have all this information right here at our leisure to use and change. So this is going to be handy for when we are doing our testing. Anyways, so now that this is done, what I want to do is go to my Pycharm, because you have to keep this running in the background. Technically you don't need to use Visual Studio Code, you can just use PowerShell and just run npm that way, but I just like VS Code, so I'm going to keep this running in the background. So I've now opened Pycharm. So this is Pycharm. I'm going to have a new project. In this project, I'm going to create a new folder. So let me get back to here, and then we go to my where's my desktop? So my desktop, I have this. So I'm going to my Pytest tutorial master, and so I'm going to set my project folder to my desktop and put it inside my Pytest folder, which is this right here. Press OK, and so then if I press OK or create, it should you know what? So anyways, now that we have this here, what we want to do is first and foremost set up our environment. So we go to File in the upper left hand corner and go to Settings. In our settings, we have this very obscure menu with a lot of drop-down menus that can be very confusing and scary if you haven't used it before. But our main concern really is just the project Pytest tutorial master right here. So we want to go to our interpreter. By default, nothing's here, so if you click on the, I think it's the drop-down menu, no, if you go to the settings and go to add, so in our add button, you want to do is create a virtual environment, and then it's going to automatically add it to our project folder right here. So if you press OK, it will create the virtual environment. So by default, when you have this virtual environment set up, you're going to have pip and setup tools, but there are also a couple of other project folders that imports that we need in order to make this run successfully. So in the bottom corner for this computer, it's going to be install. On my laptop, I've had it on the right hand side. So wherever you see a plus button for the Python interpreter, just click on it and it'll bring up this menu. And then what you want to do is import the following files, libraries rather. So in this search bar right here, what you want to do is type in Selenium, and then we just want the first option, it's just Selenium, install the package, and as you can see in the lower right hand corner it says installing Selenium, then you get this pop-up saying it's installed successfully. So after this, what we want to do is the py input, because I'm going to be using the keyboard for my testing. So I'm going to say py input, and it's just this one right here. So it's been installed successfully. Then what we want is Pytest, just the first option, Pytest. And as you can see, Python 3.7 has been configured as the project interpreter. I will be changing that to have Pytest be the interpreter, but I'll do that after I do the last file library. So the last one I need is pytest-html. I don't actually think I use this, but I still want to have it in case. So now it's installing. And now that it is installed successfully, I can close this out. And if I go to, so under Tools, go to Python Integrated Tools, and under Unit Tests, you want to have it set to Pytest. Just press Apply. This will help when we do our testing to have Pytest as a default. So that should be it for our interpreter. Once we're done with this, I want to create a new file. So in my so I'm going to right click on here, create new file, and then in my file I'm going to call this main_test.py. and just letting you know, for Pytest, every single file that you want to do Pytesting on, it has to have the name test in it, otherwise Pytest will not interpret it as a Pytest testing file, and therefore it will not run. So make sure you have test inside the name of your file in order to run it. So main_test.py is what I'm calling mine. Now that I have this done, what I want to do now is so for here, press the plus button and then just do Pytest. Under Pytest, I guess this is okay. Just remove the spaces. Then for my script, I'm going to open the folder, go to Pytest tutorial, and then click on here, press OK. I guess press Apply, press OK, and there. So this is my configuration. It's just doing this. Yeah. So now that we have the configuration set up and we have the file set up, what we want to do now is do the coding. So first, let me begin by doing the library imports. So library imports. So first I want to import Selenium, and then I'm going to say from Selenium import WebDriver, import time, and from selenium.webdriver.common.keys import keys. Then I'm going to say from pyinput.keyboard import key controller. Then I want to import Pytest, and then I'm just going to put Pytest HTML, but I don't actually think I use it for this. So now that I have this, what I now want to do is I need to do one more thing, and that's actually put my Chrome driver inside of my project folder. So if I just minimize this, my Chrome driver right is by default on my desktop, so I'm just going to click on it, copy it, open my folder, and just paste it right here, or just click and drag, does the same thing. Close that out, and then this should automatically have my Chrome driver right here. So whenever I do my testing, it should be using this for my WebDriver. So now that that's done, what I want to do now is begin my testing. So I'm going to say define, and then in here, for all the Pytest functions, they always have to start with test, otherwise Pytest will not interpret it as a test function and therefore it will not run. So make sure that you always, if using Pytest at least, put test in front of your, as a first word in your function. So I'm going to say define test or def test underscore admin underscore length underscore of underscore sections underscore is underscore 4. You always want to do your testing definition functions. You want to name them what they are trying to accomplish. So in this case, what I'm going to do is open my admin like so. Then I'm going to make sure that the length of my buttons here on the left, the navigation on the left, is equal to 4, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and therefore my web page should have 4 buttons for me to click on. If I'm missing one or whatever, then it would break. So I want to make sure that this is that it works. So I'm going to say driver underscore path is equal to, and then say chromedriver.exe, and then I am going to say wd is equal to webdriver.chrome, and then I'm going to put in here executable path is equal to driver path. So then from here, what I want to do is say wd.get, then inside of here I'm going to put my single quotes and say http:// and there's this local host 3000 /admin. Then I'm going to put a time.sleep of 2 seconds because I want the WebDriver to load. And then from here, I'm going to say the items are equal to, and then if I go to my browser and I click on the web browser and type press Ctrl-Shift-I, it opens up my inspector. You can also right click and say, I guess inspect element does the same thing, but Ctrl-Shift-I opens up the inspector. So then what you want to do is pick an element, and then on here you want to click on one of these buttons. So in this case I just clicked on announce, and on announce you can see that I have a section called ID sections, and then I have section link as each section that holds every button. So for me to see how long the total amount of sections I have, I'm going to be using the section link as my guide. So in my Pycharm, I'm going to say items is equal to wd.find underscore elements underscore by underscore ID, or by XPath. And then in my XPath, I'm going to put a 2 / with an A. Then I'm going to have an open close bracket. Inside the open close bracket, I'm going to put an @ and have the class equal to, and then use 2 double quotes as section link, because this is the same name as this right here. So I'm doing A and then having the class set as section link. So then I'm going to put in here assert that the length of items is equal to 4, and then I'm going to do wd.close because I want to close the WebDriver. So then if I open my, just to see if this runs, I'm going to go to my terminal. I'm going to say Pytest, and by default when I type Pytest I should just automatically be able to start the script for this because this is the only file with test in it. So let's see if it works. It's opened the driver, it's found it, and then it has failed. That's because I misspelled elements. So find elements with a T. Let me close this out, and then let me do a So it's closed, and now I have back to my terminal. So let me try this again. I'm just do Pytest. So I'm gonna start the script, open the WebDriver, go to admin. Ignore this USB handle, blah 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 blah. This is just because I'm using the dev tools for the browser. That's why it has all this here, dev tools. So just ignore it. But as you can see in my terminal, I had one passed and it took 4.43 seconds. That's because 2 seconds of it was allocated toward the time.sleep. Usually people don't want to do time.sleeps because it slows down your program, but because you're using WebDriver, sometimes it takes longer to load. So yes. So that was our first test case. Now we're going to be doing more test cases, and I promise you it's not going to do... I'm going to get into fixtures and parametric unit testing as well. But for right now, I'm just trying to ease my way into it. So for this next function, what I want to do is add an item to announcement. So if I open my WebDriver, go to my announcement, I'm going to click on announce. Then on here, I'm going to press the new button right here, and I want to make sure that it is added to my backend. And I'm going to check to make sure that the length of this is equal to 2, or to the same amount of ones that I want to add. So to accomplish this, I'm going to say test underscore announcement underscore add underscore item, because I want to add a single item. Inside of here, I'm going to do it like I always do. So I'm going to just do driver path is equal to chrome driver.exe, and then I'm going to get the WebDriver, so I'm going to open it up. And then once I get the WebDriver, I also want to get my localhost, and I'm going to put a sleep function on it, so I'm just going to copy this too. And this time, when I do that, I'm going to say wd.find elements by xpath. In here, I'm going to put a / 2 forward slashes with an A, open closed bracket at class is equal to, and then with 2 single quotes, put section link. And actually this is not going to work because I have it like so. So let me change these outer quotes to be single, so that this can work. So this is going to be section link, and then if you go here, and again, if you click on these buttons, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So in order to get the right section for announce, it's going to be section link sub 0, because this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So after this section link, I'm going to put in brackets 0, and I'm going to do dot click, open closed parentheses. Dot click is a WebDriver function which tells the WebDriver to click on the said element. So once the element is clicked on, I'm going to put a time.sleep. That way it does not, if it takes a little while to load, I don't want to have my WebDriver crash for me. Then I'm going to put items is equal to wd.find elements by xpath. And then in here, let me do single quotes. So in here, I'm going to do double /, and then if we go to my announce, this new button, if you click on it, it has a button class add. So I'm going to say wd, no, sorry, getting a little bit ahead. So I don't need the items yet, that's going to be next. So I'm going to say wd.find elements by xpath / button, then it's open closed bracket at class is equal to, and then add. And because there are more than one add button on here, I'm going to just get the first one. So it's going to be sub 0 dot click. So I'm going to have the WebDriver click on it. I'm going to put another time sleep on here, and then say items then is equal to wd dot find wd dot find elements by XPath, and then in here I'm going to have 2 / div open close bracket at id is equal to main body, and then I'm going to do 2 / form, and do at method is equal to post. Because if we come here and then we check, say for instance, we'll actually just come here, see how it says method post and then method post right here. So this is one block. When I add a second block, it'll give me a second block to do it, and let me show you that now. So I type new here, and I click on here. See, I have ID title 2 with post right here, and then I have post right here. So I want to make sure that that is posted. And then I'm going to assert that the length of items is equal to 3, and that's because there are 3 posts on here. There's an invisible post, I think it's up here as 1, this would be 2, and then this third one would be, so it's 0, 1, and then 2, but because this is invisible, it's going to be a total of 3, even though there's 2. So I just want to make sure that this works. So then after that, I'm going to have a wd.close, and now if I run my test case by just going to my terminal and typing Pytest, it'll open it up, give me admin, close it, open it up, go to announce, and then it'll add a new button, click on it, and then close. And as you can see, it has now passed. The reason why you want to have this open is while we're doing our test cases, it's going to run through the script, so you want to delete this so that whenever this runs, it doesn't change the number to be higher. So that we're done with that, what I want to do is update the information inside of my inside of here for my second block, and then I want to see on the announcements page itself. So if I go to site on my announcements here, I want to make sure that it shows up and it shows up properly on the website. So to do this, I'm going to say define test underscore announcement underscore update underscore item underscore title. And I understand these are single cases right now, but when I get to the second section, items and events, I'll be doing fixtures and parametric programming, just letting you guys know. So to save some time, I'm going to start off like anything else and just do the WebDriver. And after I do the WebDriver, what I want to do is find my section link. In this case, it's going to be the 0th section, which is the announcements. So it's going to come here, and then it's going to find the title box. So inside of my title box, I'm going to say title is equal to wd.find elements by XPath. Then say div / 2 / div, and then I'm going to put in here id open close bracket, so id is equal to, and then it's going to be main body, and then I'm going to have form inside it with brackets at method is equal to post inside the double quotes. We're going to do table t-body and then input, and then I'm going to have this set to 3 because by default for the input it's going to be 0, 1, 2. So when I have this one, the title is going to be 4, So technically speaking, it's 3 because Python starts at the 0th position, not the 1st. So after that's done, I want to first, if there's anything in there, do title.clear. What this will do is it will find this element. If there's text inside of here, it'll wipe it away, clear it. So once that's done, then I'm going to put a time.sleep. And then I'm going to do an input title and have this equal a string and say Selenium aquarium. And then I'm going to do title.send underscore keys of the input title. So this is going to send this string to this element. So I'll say Selenium aquarium. And once that's done, I'm going to put another sleep here because sometimes the WebDriver will be too fast, and if you insert the data, it's not going to insert properly. So I make sure that it has time to do that. Then I'm going to find the update button. So if I click on my inspector here and go to my update, as you can see, there's a button with the class update. Because this is the first update button, every time you add a new item, there's a second update button there. A new update button occurs, rather, so you have to make sure that you find the correct position for your update button. In this case, because it's the second item that we're adding, it will be update button 1, which is technically 2, but again, Python starts at the 0th position. So I'm going to do wd.findElementsByXpath. Then I'll do 2 single quotes, / div. Then inside here I'll have brackets at id is equal to main body. And then it's going to be, outside of that will be 2 / form, open close brackets, then do at method is equal to post, and then you want to do 2 / table, 2 / tbody, 2 / button, and then inside of here you want to have open close bracket at class is equal to 2 double quotes, and this will be update. And then you want to have it be 1 because it's the second position. You want to do .click. So you're going to find the element and do clicking, and then you're going to sleep it. Once it's done, you want to get to the front page. It's wd.get, and then it's going to be just the localhost 3000. Make sure you put it inside quotes though. And then once you get the localhost, you want to let it load because sometimes it's not going to load properly. And then once you put after the sleep, you want to say verified underscore title is equal to, and then if we come here and then go to our home site and come down here, this is what the first title looks like, and as you can see it says announce item. It gives you the title and the date. When you add a second item, it'll give you another class for announce item, so the announce item, then announce item. So I make sure that you get the right right ID. So in this case though, I'm going to say verify title is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath, and then in my XPath I'm going to do /h4, and then I'm going to have open close bracket, and then inside that I'm going to put at class is equal to title, and then do 1 on the outside .txt, because this will give me the text of the title. So again, see how it says h4 class title, and by default it's 0 because it's the first one, so then the second title will have 1. Then I'm going to assert that the verified title is double equal to input title. and then do wd.close. So if I go to my terminal and I run this, there should not be any issues. So as you can see, we have passed this test case as well. So now that that is done, let me go back to my admin, refresh the page, and then delete this because I'm not done yet with the unit test. So then after this is done, what you want to do now is update the date, and there's two ways you can do that. If you take a look, by default you can click on the button that says today, or you can click on the input field and then type in your own data. So I'm going to try both test cases. So I say def test underscore announcement underscore update underscore item underscore date underscore button. Inside here is going to be essentially the same thing as before. So just copy the driver path, the web driver, get the admin site, then get the section link, and then sleep. And then if you noticed that on here it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, if I click new, it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is a text area, so it'll be different, but it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, this is 3, so this is 4. So to save time, you can actually just copy this right here, and then instead of having a 3 here, you can just put a 4 because it's the section again after. So then you want to make sure that this is clear by default, and you want to change this from title obviously to date. So clear the date, and then what you want to do is get the button. So let me put this right here. Then I'm going to say wd.find elements by xpath, and then in here, if you click on here and click on this, you can see that the button is type button, and because there are a couple of buttons, you have to make sure that it's the right one. So this is the 0th one, and we'll be clicking on the first one. So I'm going to put 2 forward slashes, then do div. Inside of here, I put open close braces, and then do add ID is equal to main body, and then I'm going to do a /form, open close braces, and do add method is equal to post, and then after that I'm going to have /table /tbody /button at type is equal to, and then it's going to be button, and then it's the first one, so I'll do one.click. So then after that's done, I'm going to put another sleep to make sure that the data is entered properly, and then I'm going to get the web, the client side, give it some time to render, and then I'm going to make sure that the date is there. So if you go to the client side and click on here on dates, you can see that there's a class dates here, p class date gen 15th. So instead of having it be the 0th one, it'll be the first one. So I'll say verified underscore date is equal to wd.find elements by xpath, and put 2 / div, and do at class is equal to announce item, and do 2 / p open close bracket, at class is equal to, and then it's be date, and then it'll be open close bracket 1.txt, and then I want to assert that the verified date is equal to, double equal to the date. Is equal to, rather. So when we add our date, if I just do new here, then I click on today, it's going to say, give you the day, the type of day, then the month, and then the numeric date. So whenever you are viewing this, please make sure that you have it set in this format. So it'll be the name of the day, comma, space, the month, and then the number. So it'd be Wednesday, January 27th in my case. But if you're viewing this on a later date, please make sure that it's in this context, otherwise it will fail. So I want to make sure that the verified date is equal to, and then in string, just have it set to this. And I put too many spaces there. And then I'm going to do wd.close. And so now if I come here, make sure I delete this. Yeah, so now if I come here to my Pycharm and then I run, so as you can see this failed, and that's because I did not press the update button. So let me just copy that from here, where it says update, and then we're just going to paste that in here. So as you can see, that failed. And then I'm going to actually take this sleep and then put that, actually, you know what, I'll put a sleep between these, but instead of having 2 seconds, I'll do 1. So then let me come here, delete, press OK, close this out, and then rerun it again. So as you can see, we had 4 test cases and they all passed. So let me come here and then delete this. And now what I want to do is test it with the text input, not with the button. So I'll just come here, and I'm just going to copy all of this and just change a couple of things. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of the underscore button, just call it date. Then under here where it says input, what I'm going to do is for this have a sleep. After the sleep right here, I'm going to put input underscore date is equal to, and then say Saturday, March 20th. And then I'm going to have date.sendKeys of the input date. And then I'm going to get rid of the button here. So once it does that, I'm going to then have it press the update button to update. And then I'm going to see if the values match on the client side. So again, let me just make sure this is updated proper. And then I'm going to test this again. As you can see, it failed, and that's because I have my verified date not set to my input date. So if I rerun this, it would pass because the input date and the verified date are going to be the same. See, it says an assertion error that Saturday, March 20th does not equal Wednesday, January 27th. So that would correct that issue. But I'm going to move along because I think you understand this by now. Next, I'm going to do the description. So I'm going to say def test underscore announcement underscore update underscore item underscore description. Then again, it's going to be basically the entire same code as before, up until the input. So then from here, what I'm going to do is say description is equal to wd.find elements by xpath. This be /div brackets at id is equal to main body. This can be form at method is equal to host, and then I have the table tbody text area of 1. So if we come to here and go to our body, as you can see, we have text area body name is equal to body. So I'm going to set the body for this. By default it's 0 because it's the first one. Because we're doing a segment, it will be 1. So I'm making sure that I get that. Then I'm going to say description.clear. Put a time.sleep for 2 seconds. And then I'm going to say input description is equal to, you can type whatever you want. I'm going to say this is a whale of an event with our slithery, wet, aquatic friends in the deep ocean. And I'm going to say description.send keys of the input description. Just make sure that you don't have double parentheses. Then I'll do time.sleep to make sure that it is inputted, but instead of 2, I'm just going to do it for 1 second. And then I'm going to click the update button, which is the same as before. So let's do the update button. So then once I do the update button, I'll do 2 seconds to make sure that it's updated. Then I'm going to get the localhost. And then I'm going to say the verified description is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath. If you come here, go to the site, go to the body here, you can see there's a P. So it says renovations, so we have to do it by the P value. So in this case, it's going to be wd.findElementsByXpath div at class is equal to, and then announce item, and then it's going to be /p, and then it's going to be this third value because it's the fourth p.txt by .text rather, and I'm going to assert that the verified description is equal to the input description. Then do wd.close. Yep, so that will be that. And then I'm just going to do the delete item, because I'll run this all together. I'll say define test underscore announcement underscore delete underscore item. And then in here, I'll do the, just like I always do, with the driver path, going down to the section link. And after the section link, what I want to do is say wd.findElementsByXpath. In here, I want to get the delete button, so I'll say /button at class is equal to delete sub1.click. Just in case you don't know, if I go back here, under the delete button, you can see that it has the button with class delete. So this is the 0th delete. The one that we want is the first delete. And then I want to put a time.sleep. And I'll do keyboard. Then actually, I forgot. Right here, I want to put keyboard is equal to controller, because I want to use the keyboard input. So then after the time.sleep, I want to say keyboard dot press, and then it's going to be key dot enter, and then I'm going to say keyboard dot press keyboard dot release key dot enter, then do time dot sleep 2, and then I say items is equal to, and then I'm just going to come up here to where we first started and see how it says items is equal to 3. Well, in this case, I want to make sure that items is equal to 2. I'm going to close it out. So let me just make sure that I did not screw anything up. Okay, it's still good. So now let me try this. As you can see, all the test cases passed. So that's done with the announcements. I'm now going to get to the second part, which is the items, and in this I'm going to implement some fixtures so that we can do some practice with that. So to start things up, first I want to just go make sure I can add an item to my items. So if I go to my items here, you see that there are 7 items here. So to begin, I'm just going to actually come up here and copy my test announcement, add items, because they're basically the exact same thing. So say define, instead of item announcement, just going to say items, add item, and then instead of 0, it's going to be 1. The add button is still in the exact same spot, so you don't have to change any of that. So, and then everything else is essentially the same except for the length. Instead of 3, it's going to be 9, because we're adding an 8th item to this, and this by default is one div, so there's 9 divs total. So then if I do this, and then I run this script, it will run. But because we already know that it's going to add an item, I'm going to skip that and then go to my next test case, which is going to be updating the name. So in here, I'm going to say define test underscore items underscore update underscore name. In here, it's going to be essentially the exact same thing like up here. But after the time.sleep, I'm going to say name is equal to wd.findElements by xpath. And then in here, it's going to be a td input. Then I'm going to have at name is equal to name. And then it's going to be the 7th one, because if you come here and go to our names, and actually if you just search, I believe it's just name. Yeah, there's 71, but for this right here, it's going to be, I think its name is equal to, let's see if that, no, it doesn't bring anything up. Okay, well, there are 6 of them right here, so when we add the new thing, it's going to give us 7. So, yeah. Actually, there's 7 now, but when we add the new one, it's going to be 8, so it's 0 through 7. Anyways, so we want to make sure that the name is cleared in case there's stuff in it. There shouldn't be, but for whatever reason, you always want to do better safe than sorry. So time.sleep of 2 seconds. Once the name is clear, you want to input name is going to equal, and in the quotes, I'm going to put Brussels sprouts, because that is the item as to which we're going to be adding. Then say name.sendKeys input name, and then I'm going to say wd.findElements by xpath, It's actually the same exact code for the above, only instead of 1, it's going to be 7, because it's the 8th item that we're clicking on. So then once that's done, we're just going to have a sleep to make sure that the thing is updated proper. And actually I'm going to put the 1 second between this, just make sure it gets inputted. Then I'm going to get the local host. Right here. And then I'm going to say verified name is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath. Then put div at class is equal to, and then in here and put indent, table, tbody, tr, td, and then I'm going to put in here 28.text and say assert that the verified name is equal to the input name in wd.close. So if I come here, then I go to my site here, this is what we're updating. So if I click on, say for instance, this right here, because it's the name, and then I type in, I believe, if I type in, I think it's just td, there should be 29 of them. When I add a new branch, it's going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, so it'll be up to 34. And this one is going to be at the 30th position. Which is why or the 29th position rather, which is why I'm putting it at the 28th position, because it's -1. So that's why I'm putting this here. Yep. So if I then make sure this is good to go, I didn't add anything. Nope. Good. So I'm going to run this now so you guys can see it. So as you can see, all 9 cases passed in under 2 minutes. So if I refresh this, go down to the bottom, these are the Brussels sprouts that's here. Delete that, move on. And if you notice on the left hand side, there are these play buttons, so you can actually, instead of running all the test cases, you can just run them like this. If you use marks, you can do at pytest.mark and the name of the mark, but I couldn't get that to work. I'm still trying to learn Pytest by itself. So yeah, but you can do that as well. Yep, so now I'm going to be using fixtures. So a fixture is just a function with a test case, a single test case, or multiple test cases. It depends upon what you want it to do. So it's basically just a variable that you have it set to something. You can either input data into the, actually you can't input data into it, but you can have it set to be a number or a string or whatnot, and then when you want to test this fixture against an input value that you have for your Selenium in this case, it will check to make sure that your fixture is the same as the value that you want on the screen. If not, it's going to fail. So instead of having to type it out like this and use it once locally for this function, a fixture is kind of like a global variable test case that can be used for any function that you want to pass it in. So I'm going to say at Pytest at pytest.fixture, and then inside of here I'm going to put the scope equal to function, because I want it to just be a function. limited to the function, and then I'm going to say def unit underscore type, and then on here I'm going to say unit is equal to bag, return unit. Excuse me. So then after this, I'm going to copy this and paste it for the price. I want it for the quantity and then the description. So in here, instead of unit type, I'll say unit price for the second one. And then the price, I'm going to have it set to 3.25. Price, and then this is going to be the quantity. So I'm just going to put quantity. Then I'm going to have it set to 7, return the quantity, and then this is going to be the description. So I'll say description is equal to, and in this case I'll say, you can put what you want, I'm going to say every child's dream vegetable, sweet to the taste, warm to the tummy, super yummy. And then I'm going to have it return, and I'm not sure if Brussels sprouts are actually this good. So once this is done, I'm now going to create my test case functions for these fixtures to be used. I'm going to say define test underscore items underscore update underscore unit underscore fixture. Then I'm going to pass it in the unit type. And then from here, it's just the WebDriver going to this. And actually, I'm going to copy all of this right here because it's basically the same code, but instead of name, the TD input name is equal to name, it's going to be unit. So if you come here to where it says unit, it actually has an input name is equal to unit. So it's the 8th unit that we're putting in. And so then after this, I'm going to have this change to unit. After the clear, I'm going to say, I don't know what that is, say input underscore unit is equal to, and then just put bag, because I want to test this input against my fixture that I'm passing in. So I'll say unit dot send keys of the input unit, and then I'm going to put a time.sleep for 1 second, and then I'm going to do a the update button. So once I get the update button, I'm going to put it into a sleep for 1 second. And then I'm going to get my local host, which I'm just going to copy this right here. So after I get my local host, I want to say that the verified unit is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath div at class is equal to indent, and then in here I'm going to put the table tbody tr td span, and inside of here there's going to be a class which is equal to per unit, which if you come to the website, come here to where this is, there is a span right here where it says per unit. So that's what I'm doing. and then it's going to be 7.text, and then I want to say verified unit is equal to verified unit, and then I'm going to slice this because by default it'll give you a space / I'll give you a forward slash space, and I want to get rid of that because otherwise my test case will fail. And so I'm going to say assert verified unit after I get rid of this double space is double equal to, and then I'll say unit type. So as you can see, my unit type is being passed in here as a parameter to my function. So this is being passed into my parameter, and its scope is a function. And then I'm making sure that my verified unit here, the input unit, is the same as my unit type. So making sure bag is equal to bag. Let's say wd.close. And then I'm just going to do the next fixtures, and then we can see if these will pass or fail. Hint, they pass. But anyways, so next I'm going to do define test items update price, and then say fixture, and put unit type, and then pass in the unit price. Then it's going to be the same as before. Just copy all of this actually. But instead of unit, it's going to be price, and then obviously it's going to change this to price, and that's going to change this to price, and then say input price, 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 and it's going to be 3.25, which is what I put up here. So then after that's done, I want to update it. Just do this. Then I want to get my local host. And after I get my local host, I'm going to say verified price is equal to wd.findOnce by xpath div div, and then it's be at class is equal to indent table tbody tr td, and it's be at class is equal to price, and then it's going to be the 7th dot text, and I want to assert that my verified price equals the $, plus the unit price, plus, and then it's going to be a string space / space plus unit type, because if we come here, it has the $ with the price space / space, and then the type. And then I do wd.close. Just making sure that I don't have it in that. So this should run, and this should run too. I just want to make sure I don't have any typos. So that should run, and then next I'm going to do the quantity. So I'm just going to define test items update quantity fixture unit quantity. Then I'm going to just copy pretty much all of this. Actually, it's pretty much the same, but I'm going to copy from here on up. So then you click on it, it goes to here. The input, instead of price, is going to be QTY. This will be quantity. And the input quantity and then instead of 3.25, it's going to be 7. So then after that, we want to click the update button, sleep, get the localhost. Then I want to get the verified quantity, so I'll say verified quantity is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath. And then in here will be a div at class is equal to, and then again it's going to be indent. And then it will be table, tbody, tr, td, and then in this case it's just going to be 31 because that will be the 31st, the 32nd position td. That's how it's going to play out. Then I'll say assert verified quantity is double equal to unit quantity. I'm going to do wd.close. So once we do this, let me make sure I spelled indent properly. I'm going to finish off with the description. So I'll say def test items update description fixture, and I'm going to pass in unit description, and then for this it's going to be different, but I'm going to just get this will stay the same. Getting the driver obviously is going to stay the same. So after I click on it and I go to sleep, I'm going to say description is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath div at id is equal to main body. After the main body, it's going to be form at method is equal to post, and then you have table tbody text area, and then it's number 7 because this is the 8th one that we're getting. So I'm going to do description.clear. Then I'm going to have it kind of be like before. So I'll say the input description is going to be the same as before. So instead of writing it all out, I'm just going to copy it from above. So it should be the same as such. Then after that, I'm going to put a wd.findElementsByXpath and have a div at id is equal to main body. Then I'm going to do a form at method is equal to post, and it'll be, actually it's just this right here. The update button stays the same, so I'm just going to copy paste that, save some time coding. Then I'll do time.sleep for 2 seconds. Actually, yeah, in this case I'll just copy this. So sleep for 2 seconds, get the local host. Then after this, I want to verify that my input is the same as my assertion. Let's say verified description is equal to wd.findElementsByXpath div at class is equal to, and in this case, indent, table, tbody, tr, td, and this is going to be number 29 dot text. Then I say assert that the verified description is equal to the unit description, and then w.close. So let me run the tests to make sure this works. From here, so I'll say add item. Then I want to update the name. And then I want to come down here and update the fixture. And then once I update the fixture, I want to update the price. And after I update the price, I want to update the quantity. And then I want to update the description. So as you can see, everything has successfully passed all of our test cases without any problems. So from here, I'm now going to use some parametric tests so that we can make sure that we can do multiple cases on the same function. Yes. So that being said, I'm going to say at pytest.mark.parametrize, which is a really weird name. Then I'm going to have 3 inputs for every function to use. So I'm going to have test underscore type, comma space, test underscore parameter, comma space, and then I'm going to have expected underscore behavior, expected parameter, or behavior, however you want. Then I'm going to put a comma, open close bracket, because this is an array of parameters I want to test. Say pytest.param. Inside here, I'm going to pass it in for a unit. Then I'm going to have it pass in the name parcel, and I want to make sure that the expected result is also parcel. And I'm going to copy this, paste it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. Make sure that they are indented properly, because Python loves indentation. Next I'm going to say package. Then I'm going to say box. Then I'm going to say purse, because we know we all buy Brussels sprouts and purses. Then I'm going to say envelope. And then I'm going to say bottle, because sometimes we buy Brussels sprouts in bottles too. And after this, I'm going to do my quantity tests. So I'm going to say, so I should just copy this and do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. In this case, it's going to be quantity. Just get that. And then for this, I'm put 10. Then I'll do 23. Let's do 23. Then I'll do 100. Then I'll do 564. And then I'm going to do 890. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last one I'm going to do is just, I don't know, 6. You can do however many test cases you want, but for me I'm just doing 6 per. So, yep, so once that's done, I'm going to do the last one for description. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure they are indented, not that far obviously. Now we'll pass in description. And then from here, I'm just going to put to die for. Then I'm going to put in here yummy in the tummy. You know, just basic test cases. You can test however you want. I'll do delicious for the lipses. And then I'm going to put sweet to the tongue. I would say makes your kids scream. And then the last one, I'm going to say the ice cream of the future, because Brussels sprouts are the ice cream of the future. So I'm going to save this, and that is the parametric parametrized function testing. Yeah, so parametric testing, there you go. So then I'm going to have a function down here, and the function is going to be the same as the unit, except there's going to be one slight different, well, a couple of differences really, but the core code stays the same. So I have unit type, test parameter, and expected parameter, so I'm just going to take those and copy it into here. So then my test type, that is going to be my function call. So I'd say if test type is equal to, and in this case it's unit, then I'm going to do this. So my test type, if it's unit, I want to run all these test cases, and then my test parameter is my input unit, and my expected parameter is my expected parameter. So again, test parameter, I just replace the single input to my test parameter, and then my expected parameter I put here. Because test goes to input, input goes to unit, verified unit verifies that the unit is the unit, and then we assert that the verified unit is the expected parameter. And this will run 6 times. Then I'm going to copy all of this, because it will not, yeah, actually, you know what, I'm just going to do this. So, yeah, so for this, I'm just going to go with my unit, and I'm going to do quantity next. So, but let me just keep this here for right now. Yeah, so next I'm going to do quantity. So let me go to my quantity, and the reason I am skipping price is because we have to pass in the unit price and the unit type, and I didn't really want to edit this a whole lot, because it's yeah. So anyways, so next I have my quantity fixture. Oh, and so for unit fixture, it's not a fixture that we're doing, it's unit parametric fixture, just parametric. So it's test items update unit parametric, because we're using parametric testing. So the same thing here. It's just update quantity parametric, and then we're passing in these variables right here. Then we'll say if test type equals, in this case it's quantity, then I want all of this. Yes, so my quantity, my test parameter is going to be my input parameter, and then my expected parameter is my unit quantity, is what I want my verified one to be. Yeah, so let me just first fix this, copy this, come down here, then I'm going to get rid of the quantities. So I have parametric, and get rid of the description here. So my last one is description, and that is going to be this right here. So for description, again, just passing in the ones like always, and I'll say if test type equals copy this description, then I want to run all of these tests. And then I'm going to do test parameter is this, and then my expected parameter is that. I don't understand why the error, I believe. Oh, comma. There we go. Simple fix. My units are my units, my quantity is my quantity, and my description is my description. And then instead of saying fixture, do parametric. So this is the parametric. Oh. Whoops. I don't know why those commas were not placed. Those have commas. Those have commas. Yeah. Okay. So this should now run. Because I already have the website built, because I have Brussels sprouts, I'm now just going to go through and run each of these unit tests by themselves. So first I'm going to start with unit parametric. So I'm going to run. As you can see, all of the cases passed, and that's how we use parametric testing for our Pytest. Now I'm just going to finish this off by doing the events and message. So just make sure that this functions work for those as well. But first I need to make sure that my delete function works. So I'm going to say define test underscore items underscore delete underscore item. And here I'm going to get my driver path. So once I get my driver path, I'm going to say wd dot, actually, I'll get to my delete function. So my delete function right here, it's basically the same code, more or less. So instead of 0, it's going to be 1. Instead of 1, so instead of the delete being 1, it's going to be the 7th one. Key enter, enter, sleep, then it's going to be the main body, form post. Then we want to make sure that instead of it being 9 like it was before, it's going to be 8. So that will delete the item. if we run this, and it passed. So that item is no longer there, it's gone. Now what I want to do is get my add, and the add is going to be essentially the same as the previous ones up here. So I'm just going to get all of this, copy it, say define test underscore event underscore add underscore event. Then it's going to be the driver path. I'm going to get, then instead of 1, it's going to be 2. The add is going to be 0 like before. Items, div, id, main body, form. Instead of capital post, it's going to be small lowercase post. Instead of 9, it's going to be 3. And then I'm going to have a fixture for my events being added. So this is what we're doing. See, it's 0, 1, 2, so it's the third one. Which surprisingly, this doesn't have an extra div. That's why it's 3 instead of 4, which I thought was a bit surprising. Yes, so I'm going to create a fixture for this. I'm going to say at pytest.fixture, and then I'm going to say the scope is equal to function, and say define event title, and then the title is equal to bull wrestling, return title. Then what I want to do is have my event be added, so I'm going to say this is the same, so I'm just going to say define test underscore event underscore add underscore title, pass in the event title. So then once this is done, let's say title is equal to wd dot find elements by xpath, tbody, td, at class is equal to buttons, input at name is equal to title. It's the second one, title dot clear, input title is equal to bull wrestling, and say title dot send keys, input title, time dot sleep is going to be 2, and then I'm going to have wd dot find elements by xpath, td at class is equal to buttons, or yeah, buttons, button at class is equal to update, 2 dot click. I'm going to sleep again, and it's going to be wd dot, actually no, I'm just put 1 here. And get my local host. Let's say the verified title is equal to wd dot find elements by xpath, be div at class is equal to, then it's going to be event item indent, and there's a space between those two because there's 2 separate classes, be h4, and then it's going to be the 2, which is actually 3, dot text, and then say assert the verified title is equal to the event title, wd dot close. So then if I Yep, so event, add event. That will go there. And now I want to add a date. So I'm just going to copy this, paste here. Instead of event title, I'm going to say event date. And then the date is going to be Saturday, March 20th. And then this is going to be date. Then the title path is going to be, or the path is going to be the same until this point. Say define test events add dates. First it's going to be the button. So get the button. After that, I'm going to do date is equal to wd dot find elements by xpath tbody td at class is equal to buttons. The input is going to be name equal to date. This will be the second one. And date.clear, in case there's something there, and wd find elements by xpath. This will be td at class is equal to buttons. Then after the buttons, there'll be a button. Type is equal to, inside of here, it'll just be button. And it's going to be 2.click. And it'll be time.sleep of 2 seconds. Actually just 1 second. Then I'm going to find the update button, which is this right here. Do another sleep. And then I'm going to get the localhost. And then I'm going to say the verified date is equal to wd dot find elements by xpath. Div class is equal to event item indent p at class is equal to date 2.text. Then assert that the verified date is equal to, and then my date that I had up here, which is actually it's today's date. So I'm just going to come up here. Wednesday. Thank you. That's out of you. So just make sure it's equal to this, and then wd.close. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing instead of a button, just going to be regular name. So just be add date with the event date. So then yes, so then see here at my driver path, from here I want to, instead of having me click on this button right here, I'm going to say that the input date is equal to, and then I have it up here, I believe as Saturday, March 20th. Then I'll say date dot send keys of the input date, and I want to add just a second time here. Actually, put it here and put it here. So I'm going to send the date, and then I'm going to click it and make sure that the verified date is the same as the event date being passed in. So now that that's done, I want to add a description at pytest.fixture, and then in here I'll do scope is equal to function, and then I'm going to say, just like before, I'm just going to copy all this, event description. Then for this description I'm going to put, for the description, what I'm going to say is learn how to mess with the bools and not get the horns. So there are little punny stuff there. So say define test events add description, pass in the event description, and then I'm going to, like usual, get the drivers, and then I'm going to say the description is equal to wd.findElements by xpath a at class is equal to it's going to be the text area, because this is a text box, so text area at name is equal to body. Then it's going to be the second one, and then say description.clear, and put a sleep for 1 second. Actually, I should put a sleep after the clear too, because sometimes the clear will fire before the parameter. So let me just fix this right quick. Yeah, so I just stopped before that. Okay. So description now clear, so say input description is equal to this. Now say description dot send keys the input description sleep. Then I'm going to click the update button, sleep localhost sleep, and say the verified description is equal to wd.findElements by xpath div at class is equal to event item indent p5.text, and I'm going to assert that the verified description is equal to the event description. wd.close. So once this is done, I'm going to delete the event. So say define test events delete event, and it's just going to be like the other delete. So let me go to this right here. Well, it won't be the same, but it'll be somewhere. So inside of here, I'll say the section link is 2. The delete button isn't the same. It's actually going to be td at class is equal to buttons button at class is equal to delete, and this is going to be the second, and enter, and then main body, and then instead of capital, it's going to be lowercase post, and then the length is going to be 2. So then once we delete this, I want to get to the last part, which is the message, and then that will wrap up for this tutorial. So I'm going to say define test message add message. Then I just do the driver path. Instead of 2, it's going to be 3. And after that, it's pwd.findElements by xpath, and then it's going to be button at class is equal to add, and it's the 0th dot click, and time dot sleep is going to be 2 seconds. Let's say items is equal to wd.findElements by xpath, div at id is equal to main body, form at method is equal to, and then it's post, assert that the length of items is equal to 3, wd.close. Once this happens, I want to do a fixture, so say at pytest.fixture, and the scope is equal to function, then I'll say define message title. Title is equal to message of the month. Return title. Then from here, I'm going to pass in my message title to get a message from my message. So I'm going to just copy this after I give my define test message add message title, and then pass in message title. So that's the same. And I'm say title is equal to wd.findElements by xpath, and inside of here I'm going to put td input at name is equal to title, and it's the first one, so title.clear. Then I want to say input time.sleep for 1 second, and I say input title is equal to what this is, and then I'm going to say title dot send keys of the input title, and then I'm going to say time.sleep for a sec, and I'm going to put a wd.findElements by xpath. But actually I'm just going to come up here to where it says update, because essentially the update button stays the same. So td class buttons button class update, instead of 2 it's going to be 1. Then I'll do a second wait. I'm going to get my local host, so I'm just going to come here, get my local host, and after that I'll say verified title is equal to wd.findElements by xpath, div ID is equal to main body, section h3, this can be the fourth one, dot text, assert that the verified title is equal to the message title, and then wd.close. And after that, I want to do a fixture for the body, so I'll say at pytest.fixture, the scope is equal to function. Again, I need to stop messing up parentheses. And then I'm going to say define message body. And here I'm going to say body is equal to where there is a will, there is a way, return body. And then I'm going to add this to my message body. So I'm going to say define test message add message body and pass in the message body. So then it's going to be essentially the same thing. I'll just put, actually, I think it's going to be the same from here on up. So then we have our, we click to get the message, we find the title. Once of the title, it's going to be body. And then again, instead of name title, it's going to be body. The TD is going to stay the same, but instead of input, it's going to be text area. It's still 1 because it's the second message. So then time.sleep, and say input body, and it's going to be equal to this. So then I'm going to say body, and I'm going to pass in the input body. I'm going to update it, sleep, and then from here I'm going to say that the verified body is equal to wd.find elements by xpath, div class is equal to motd item, indent p, and have one.text, and I'm going to assert that the verified body is equal to the message body, and do w.close. And then for my last test case, I'm going to say define test message remove message, and then the remove function is the same as is essentially the same as before. So then we have the keyboard controller, the driver, web driver, get this. It's going to be the third one. The delete button is still the same, except it's going to be in the first position, and then it's going to be capitalized post. And then, yeah, this will stay the same. So I know I kind of skipped through the last test cases, but I think you kind of got the gist with the parametric testing and fixtures. I'm just adding, updating, seeing if it's updated, and then deleting it. It's just a basic happy case, I guess you could say, for this. So now, if I come here, and then I run my test cases, so I'm going to go to my terminal, So as you can see, it failed 2 cases. Let's see here. So the first case was in, let's see here, 466. So in 466, we have an error where it says that the list index is out of range. So if we go to 466, we can see that it says 2. Yeah, it's at type. So I misspelled this, it should be at type. So then if I come here and run this, at date, at title, let me run this, and then I will run this. Okay, let me see. And that's because I don't have a title. That's why it's not showing up. So let me add a title. And now let me add the dates again. And now it passed. That's because for this, if you come here, go to the site, if you do not have a title, then the date will not appear because the title is what allows this whole section to be created. That's how I that's how I knew how that was. Yeah. So then let's see here. What was what was the second one that I failed? Terminal. That was 466, and the second one was in 582. I'm probably just missing an at right here. So let me do add message. And add message body. I believe that's what I, oh, whoops, I meant, add message title. This is going to fail because it doesn't see it. So then if I go to my title, add the title, and then add the message, it will run. And it passed. So that was the issue. I just forgot to add the at. So then if I run the body again, it passed. So that concludes this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's an extremely long video and there's a lot to go over, but I hope these test cases helped you out with regards to your unit testing in Python. And as you can see, I have 4 minutes to spare before I'd have to change the date to the 28th. Anyways, regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what else you'd like to see with regards to Python unit testing, and I will do my best to make videos in the future. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your time, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Peace.